ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So welcome all of you all for a weekly Gita class. So last week we discussed verse number 10 till verse number 10 of the second chapter. So I'll read text 10 again. Tam vacha Rishikesha prahasaniva bharata senayor ubayor madhye visidantam idam vachah. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So Arjuna, after the entire first chapter and till this point in the second chapter, Arjuna is completely depressed, sad, miserable. You know, he's in a state of lamentation, crying that he has to fight this war, that the situation has happened in life. So life is such that whether someone is Arjuna or anyone else, being part of the material world, there is problems. Problem is the reality in this world. You just can't avoid it. So Arjuna was also in such a confusion that he was so depressed and lamenting and crying literally. Can you imagine? Generally, a grown-up man doesn't cry so often. And someone like Arjuna, who is such a powerful warrior, you will not find Arjuna crying very often. But in this situation, Arjuna also is crying bitterly. And seeing Arjuna crying, what is Krishna doing? Prahasaniva Bharata. Krishna is smiling. Generally, when someone is crying, just imagine if someone has come to tell you their story of grief and sorrow, and they're crying in front of you, and you smile at them. That fellow will think that you are such an insensitive person, he will just walk away. So Arjuna is crying and Krishna is smiling. Why is Krishna smiling? There is a reason for everything that Krishna does. Even the smallest gesture of Krishna, there is a deep reason behind it. So Krishna is smiling for different reasons. One reason is, like Prabhupada explains here, Krishna is thinking that just see what has happened in life, especially in Arjuna's life. At this point, we both were friends till now. Arjuna and Krishna were very good friends. But now that friend Arjuna has decided to become a disciple of Krishna. Shishyasteham shadimam swam prapannam. So text 7, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna the time, informal friendship, and let us get into a formal relationship between guru and disciple. You are now my guru and I am your disciple. Please instruct me. Okay, the internet connection shows unstable. So let's see how far it goes. So Arjuna surrendering to Krishna, become a disciple of Krishna. That is the reason Krishna is smiling. that now my friend has become my disciple. We were also discussing this point last week, that how the solution for the crying hearts of people, the solution for all misery of this world, when go near the situation, the solution is the smile face of Krishna. So reading Gita, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, having darshan of the deities, these are the smiling faces of Krishna. So Krishna has come in all these forms to give us hope and to fill our hearts with joy. So the solution to lamentation, so Arjuna is in the state of lamentation. The solution to lamentation is just like Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. When we surrender to Krishna, then we will
Parmadev bro. Parmadev bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Could you ask him to switch off that video?
Yeah, Prabhuji is there, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's better. Then it will come clearly.
Okay, let's try one more with the video. If again it gets disconnected, switch off.
No,
Okay.
Prabhuji, not
So,
getting Prabhu.
yeah. Not hearing?
Okay, now it is okay, but getting...
You all can't hear?
Better to do audio like last time, no? Only use audio only. So it become clear.
Okay. Okay, ठीक है. So, yeah. So the solution to our lamentation, state of lamentation, is the blissful face of Krishna and the wisdom of Gita. So therefore, hearing Gita is something that's very important. So till text 10 is like the summary of the setting the scene of the second chapter, and then from text 11 onwards, Krishna starts to speak. So if you all remember, section 1 to 10 is the topic of Guru, importance of Guru, the importance of surrendering to a spiritual master. That is the theme of the first 10 verses. Now the theme of the next set of 20 verses from 11 to 30 is the next topic, where knowledge of the soul, the identity, is discussed. So from text 11 onwards of the second chapter, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to fight in different ways. So in this section, 11 to 30, which is the first section in which Krishna speaks in the second chapter, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna through Gyan, through knowledge. Krishna is telling fight. And we will see in the next section from 31 onwards, through karma, Krishna is telling Arjuna fight. And then through bhakti, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight. So Krishna in different angles is convincing Arjuna to fight. So this is the first section, 11 to 30, where the topic of the soul is being discussed. So we'll read text 11. This is literally the first verse that Krishna speaks in the second chapter. The first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asocyan Anvasocastvam Pragyavadam Cha Bhasase Gata Suncha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. The Supreme Personality of God had said, let me try my video for some time. Yeah. The Supreme Personality of God said, while speaking words,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Okay, you all can hear me now, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
I'll not. Okay, I'll not put on the video. Okay. So this is the first words Krishna is speaking in the second chapter. So Krishna starts to speak. Krishna is, in one sense, calling Arjuna a fool. Arjuna has spoken so much knowledge, as if he's a very learned person. But Krishna is telling, while you're speaking learned words, pragya vadam cha bhasase, you're speaking like a learned man, but you're crying and lamenting for that which is not worthy of lamenting. You are mourning for a body, the death of your relatives, which anyway is going to die. So the why is Krishna saying, those who are intelligent, they don't lament. Nanu shochanti pandita. So who is a pandita? One who is knowledgeable, he doesn't lament, he doesn't cry for that which is anyway going to go. If something is anyway going to go, why are you lamenting? So in this way, Krishna is actually chastising Arjuna. Imagine. So till now, the talks was going on between a friend and friend. Till then, Krishna didn't speak anything. Now when Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are a fool. So when we accept a guru, one of the meaning of guru is heavy. A guru speaks heavy stuff. A guru is not meant to just speak goody things. He's meant to speak something that's very important. Even if you don't like it, but if it's good for you, a guru is supposed to speak. That's the role of a guru. And Srila Prabhupada starts the purport saying, the Lord at once took the position of a teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. So what is Krishna calling Arjuna? You are a fool. You're talking like an intelligent man, but you're actually a fool. So when we go in front of a guru, we should go in the mood that even if the guru defeats me or chastises me, I'm ready for it. Why? Because the guru is thinking about the benefit of the disciple. Like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada would many times chastise his disciples. He would correct them. But Prabhupada was doing it because that's his duty. If the guru doesn't correct a disciple, who will correct? If the guru doesn't correct, the disciple also will go to hell and the guru will also go for not correcting. So guru's role is to help the disciple in a nice way. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his spiritual master, Ishwarapuri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. When he went to Ishwarapuri to become his disciple, Ishwarapuri told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are a fool. Therefore, you will not understand Vedic scriptures. My suggestion to you is just chant Hare Krishna. Who is telling this to whom? Ishwarapuri is telling this to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya doesn't tell Ishwarapuri, who are you? I am the Supreme Lord. How can you call me a fool? In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very happy that my guru has called me a fool. Now I will just chant Hare Krishna. In fact, years later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts sannyas and goes to Varanasi and meets Prakashananda Saraswati, the Mayavadi sannyasis. So Prakashananda Saraswati and everyone is asking Lord Chaitanya, generally sannyasis are supposed to read Vedas. Why are not reading Vedas? Why are you chanting Hare Krishna and dancing on the streets, like women and children? Why are not sitting and reading Vedas? So that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, my spiritual master called me a fool. Therefore, I don't have the intelligence to read the Vedas. I will just chant Hare Krishna. Recently, our Pankaj Jangiri Prabhu, a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, left this world. Last week we were discussing about him. So something beautiful someone had just sent on WhatsApp. Pankaj Jangiri Prabhu and his brother Jananivas Prabhu, they are there in this movement for like 50 years, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. But they're very simple, very innocent. So someone asked Pankaj Jangiri Prabhu, in ISKCON there are so many ups and downs that have happened, but you both, yourself and your brother Jananivas Prabhu, you all never took stand in any position. Whatever discussions were happening in ISKCON, ups and downs, and many times difference of opinions, but you all never took any stand. Why is it so? So Pankaj Jangiri Prabhu said very innocently, you see, I and my brother are not very intelligent. We are not very intelligent. Therefore, we just follow our authorities. Whatever the authorities decide for us, we follow. And we are happy just swinging incense and ringing bell. We are happy doing a pujari seva. So this is their greatness. What is their greatness? Their greatness is they are calling themselves a fool. They are accepting that. So Lord Chaitanya's greatness is Ishwarapuli is calling him a fool, and Lord Chaitanya is saying, "Great, I am happy." So therefore I will follow my guru's instruction. In Bhagavatam, we have a similar incident. Vyasdev, who's Vyasdev? Vyasdev is an incarnation of the Lord, literary incarnation. He wrote all the Vedas. So after he wrote all the Vedas, the Bhagavatam explains that Vyasdev was sitting on the bank of Saraswati and he was feeling depressed. Like Arjuna is feeling here depressed. Vyasdev was feeling depressed. So that time Narad Muni comes. And Narad Muni is telling Vyasdev, you are a great fool. You have written all the Vedas, but you have not written the essence of the Vedas, Bhakti to Krishna. Therefore, you are not happy. Vyasdev doesn't tell Narad Muni, who are you to tell me? You know how much it takes to write all the Vedas. I am not an ordinary man. You don't tell me like this. Vyasdev is happy that my guru has defeated me. I have become humble in front of my guru. Srila Prabhupada himself, when he went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his spiritual master, so Prabhupada was like 22 years old, and during those days, Mahatma Gandhi was in full swing trying to drive the British away from India. And Prabhupada also had joined Mahatma Gandhi's movement, Quit India movement, like that, non-cooperation movement. And he went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati along with his friend. So the first thing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati tells him is, you are an educated man, you should preach the wisdom of Gita to others. Just imagine, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is such a great personality. First time someone is coming to him. First meeting, Prabhupada, young man is coming. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying, you're very intelligent, you should speak Bhagavad Gita to others. And Prabhupada immediately questions Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that, who will listen to your Gita? Now India is under the British rule. First let us get independence, then we will listen to your Gita. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no. Bhagavad Gita, the wisdom of Gita, the mission of Lord Chaitanya is an urgency. It can't wait for anything. It can't wait even for independence. This is what is most important. And Prabhupada, even though he was defeated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he came out very happy that a great personality has defeated me. He is my guru. So here Krishna is chastising Arjuna that you are a fool. You think you're speaking very learned, but you are actually a fool. You don't know your basics well. And Arjuna is thinking, great. Krishna is calling me a fool. And now because I'm a fool, I will get education. So the first quality of getting knowledge is to admit that you don't know. When you don't know something, there is no harm in admitting that you don't know. So only when you don't know, you will go to a person who knows and learn from him. Like Krishna tells in the 4th chapter, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya ubdekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Jnaninas tattva darshina. Those who are learned know the truth. Therefore, when we go, serve them, inquire from them, then we can actually learn this truth. So Arjuna is happy being chastised by Krishna, his guru. Vyasdev is happy being chastised by his guru, Narad Muni. Lord Chaitanya is happy being chastised by his guru, Ishwarapuri. So this is our parampara. However great we may be, when we go in front of Guru, you go in a very humble position. You go in a very humble position. Because only when that humility, we will understand. And Srila Prabhupada also, many times he would correct his disciples, sometimes very heavily. But Prabhupada was doing it a lot out of love. So when there is love and affection, such dealings can happen. So Krishna is calling Arjuna a fool and telling him that you are speaking about the body, but you're not speaking anything about the self. If you don't know who you are and who your relatives are, then what kind of knowledge you have? So Prabhupada explains what is knowledge. This is beautiful. So, so Krishna is chastising Arjuna and telling Arjuna that you are speaking like a learned man, but actually you are a fool. So who is a learned man? A learned man is one who knows the difference between body and soul. And Prabhupada writes here, this is a brilliant statement of Prabhupada. it will be clear that knowledge means, what is the definition of knowledge? You all can hear this properly. Knowledge means to know three things: matter, spirit, and the controller of both. What is knowledge? Knowledge means, you can see the chart here. Knowledge means to know matter, spirit, and the controller of both, Krishna. So MSc, just like people do MSc, na, masters. So similarly, real knowledge is MSc. What is matter? What is material? What is spirit? What is spiritual? And who is the controller of both material and spiritual? Krishna. If you know these three things, you are Pandita, knowledgeable. But if you don't know, you are a fool. So therefore, Krishna is chastising Arjuna. Pragya vadam sabhasase. You're speaking like a learned man, but actually you're a fool. Asochan anvasochastvam. So Gita starts with this verse where Krishna is telling Arjuna, Asochan anvasochastvam. Soch means to lament. Nanu shochanti. Shochanti means to lament. So Krishna is saying, don't lament. Don't lament. Because anyway it's going to go away. Just like Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great, he died, or even he was in his final days, he told his ministers that when you all bury me with both my hands spread apart. So that I can tell the world that I have conquered so much and I've got so much, but I can't carry anything with me, right? I can't carry anything with me. Therefore, I am a fool, right? Working so hard for things that we can't carry. So what is real intelligence? Real intelligence is to invest energy in Krishna consciousness. Like Kulashekar Maharaj prays, Idam sharidam parinama peshalam patatyavasham shatasandhi jarjaram kimoshadam prichasi mooda durmate niramayam Krishna rasayanam piba. So Kulashekar Maharaj says, Idam sharidam parinama peshalam. What is the destiny of this body? Idam shariram parinama peshanam patatyavashyam. It will fall down surely. Shatasandhi jarjaram. And will get a lot of disease. The reality of this body is, it will fall, there is death, and it is subjected to disease like COVID, so many things. This is the reality. So therefore, what medicine we should take? Should we take Covivax or Covishield? What medicine we should take to get rid of all the diseases and death? He says, Niramayam Krishna Rasayanam Piba. So the only real medicine is Krishna Rasayan. That means the holy names of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is the only medicine. Other medicines, however, if you take vaccine or whatever we do, we may get saved from one particular virus, but then the virus keeps getting mutated, right? Now they're saying there's a third thing coming up. And even if the COVID vaccine is done, who knows what next virus is going to come up, right? We really don't know. So the only actual medicine that we have faith in. So devotees don't have faith. Our trust is not in Ayurveda or homeopath or whatever. Our trust is in the medicine of Krishna. This is the most important thing. And one who has this definitely doesn't mean that we don't take other precautions and other medicines. We definitely do it. But our most important priority is our focus on Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, one who is truly learned will not lament because he knows what is material, what is spiritual. He knows that what is spiritual will continue. What is spiritual, anyway, there is no end for it. And what is material, anyway, will pass away. So let me focus on something that's spiritual and eternal. Let me focus on my relationship with Krishna. So that's what is important. Just like I think this is a saying of Chanakya. He says, don't compromise the permanent for the impermanent. Don't compromise the eternal for the temporary, because you will be left with none. Right? If you leave the permanent thing, Krishna Bhakti, for running after temporary things, temporary thing will anyway go away, and permanent thing we don't have. Therefore, we'll have nothing in hand. Therefore, one who is learned focuses on the permanent thing. That's what Krishna explains in this verse. So we will read. Okay, before we go ahead, yeah. So something important is how the soul and body function. This is a very beautiful chart. You all can observe this chart. So here in this chart, there are 4 things mentioned: soul, spiritual soul, subtle body, life air, prana, and gross body matter. So how, how Krishna has made our entire system is amazing. So we have the spirit soul, Atma, which is there inside our body. Around the Atma is the subtle body. What is the subtle body made of? You can see that chart below. Subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, ego, false ego. And soul is spiritual, Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. And the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, false ego. And then beyond the subtle body is life air, prana. And what is prana? Network of air controlling bodily functions. So we know that veins, the movement of the bowels, movement of blood in our body, all this is controlled by prana, life air. And there are different types of prana, 5 types of prana: prana, apana, samana, vyana, udhana, like that. 5 types of prana. And beyond the prana is the gross body, our physical body, made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, panchindriya, bhumi, apo, nalo, vayu, the 5 elements. And 5 elements means the senses: jnanendriya, karmendriya, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and working senses, 10 senses like this. How this spiritual body and gross body are connected? So the connection between, the link between the gross body and the soul is the subtle body. So the link between the gross body and the spiritual soul is the subtle body, made of mind, intelligence, ego. And the link between gross body and subtle body, the gross body and mind, is prana. Therefore, hope you all are understanding it. So therefore, when people say to control the mind, pranayam, right? Yoga Sutra also states, to control the mind, one needs to do pranayam. So someone may say, mind, by breathing, how can I control my mind? Because pran is the connection between gross body and subtle body. It is in between. So therefore, when we use our nostrils, the gross senses, and do nice pranayam, if the prana is proper, then the subtle body, mind, is also proper. So it's all linked like this. Between gross body and subtle body is prana, and between gross body and spiritual body is the subtle body, like that. So this is how the soul and body functions. So this is like the summary of what we discussed till 11. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that one who is learned doesn't lament for the body. He knows the difference between body and soul, living and dead, right? Like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada went to America. He went to this MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Prabhupada had gone for a lecture there. And after the lecture, the professor or the director of that institute took Prabhupada around for a tour, to show the prestigious MIT college. So many departments Prabhupada saw. And then Prabhupada said, where is the department that tells us the difference between dead body and living body? Matter and spirit. Is there any department? He said, no. Prabhupada said, that department ISKCON is giving for the world. The department to know what is the difference between dead and living. Because this is the basic definition of a learned man. The definition of knowledge, you can see here, point B. Definition of knowledge is to know matter, spirit, and the controller of both. Therefore, we need to understand that, you see, Arjuna's arguments in the first chapter is not wrong. All of his arguments is logical. Arjuna is speaking about Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Arjuna's recommendation is based on Dharma Shastra. But Krishna is saying, higher than Dharma Shastra is Jnana Shastra, difference between knowledge and soul. And when there is conflict between Jnana Shastra and Dharma Shastra, one has to follow Jnana Shastra. So Arjuna was speaking from the level of Dharma Shastra, but Krishna is saying, but we have to see from the spiritual point of view. Therefore, you are a fool because you are not considering the essential nature of the soul. So I think we will stop here. text 12 is an important verse, and it is a long verse. It needs a lot of explanation. So I think let's keep it for the next time, because if I start text 12, it'll go a little longer. So anyone has any questions, any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sorry for internet issues here. Yeah.
Actually, this second chapter, this is second sloka, Krishna is spoken, Prabhu.
Yeah. What is second sloka? Kudasto. Yeah, but that's he just speaks that, and yeah, 2 verses he does speak, but after that again Arjuna starts to speak. But from this point on, actually, the real wisdom of Gita actually starts. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Any other question और कुछ प्रश्न है? Okay, great.
So, Prabhu.
So we'll continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, in first chapter 36 sloka, in aggressors, there are six types of aggressors. You can kill that 6 type of aggressors. As per Ardha Shastra, you can kill. As per Dharma Shastra, you can't kill, na Prabhu. You are telling like that.
No.
That's why Arjuna is refusing to.
No. Yeah. According to not Artha Shastra, according to Dharma Shastra only you can kill.
No, Prabhu. According to Artha
कहाँ पे लिखा है क्या? अर्थशास्त्र. अर्थशास्त्र मतलब शास्त्र related to money. Dharma Shastra is how do you the moral principles, ethical principles, what is right, what is wrong. So Dharma Shastra means the dharma of a Kshatriya. So for a dharma of a Kshatriya can kill the 6 kinds of people. That is Dharma Shastra. It can't be Artha Shastra.
Is there, Prabhu, 6 types of aggressors to be killed based on grounds of politics and sociology, Ardha Shastra.
Where it is?
Prabhu?
कहाँ पे पढ़ रहे हो?
That is purport of 136 sloka, Prabhu.
Okay. Arjuna considered that other than killing. But where is that line? I'm not getting that line.
Actually, I have wrote notes actually.
हाँ मतलब purport में नहीं है ना वो?
Purport 1 minute, Prabhu. This is 36.
Purport में नहीं दिख रहा है. Yeah, but here now, see, the confusion between for Arjuna, is not between Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra. The confusion is Arjuna is speaking from Vedic point of view, what is right for society, but he's not speaking from Krishna conscious point of view, which point of view? Understanding now? See, there is a spiritual reality and there is ethical realities. So sometimes when there is clash between two, you have to follow the higher principle, higher dharma. So therefore, when Krishna says Sadharman Parityajya, what it means is Krishna is not telling just give up all dharmas and become an atheist. What Krishna is telling, the highest dharma is to surrender unto him. Understanding? Otherwise, we can keep following so many dharmas, Varnashram dharma, this dharma, that dharma. There are n number of we can follow. But if you follow one dharma of surrendering to Krishna, then everything else is taken care of. Understanding the point? So therefore, our main focus is following that one dharma of surrendering to Krishna. Then things become simple. Otherwise, there may be difference of opinions this way, that way. But this way, there is difference of opinion. So therefore, surrendering to Krishna is the highest dharma. Savai pumsa paro dharma. So that's what the whole understanding is. Arjuna, all the logic that Arjuna spoke in the first chapter is correct. But the point is, Krishna is raising Arjuna. Krishna is not telling Arjuna, give up your lower dharma. Krishna is telling Arjuna, rise higher and follow a higher dharma. That's the whole understanding. Okay.
Okay.
So, so let's end for today. We will continue from text, which
Hare
was
Krishna, Prabhu.
12. Yeah, 12 the next time. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Somebody raise a hand, Prabhu.
Raised hand who? मुझे दिख नहीं रहा. Anyone else?
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, my question was that you just mentioned, like it's saying in this text, that the body is temporary and the soul is eternal. So the basic purpose of a man on earth in that way should only be like service to God and not any, because since the body is temporary, so you just come as, serve God the whole life and that's it.
Yeah, good question. Very good question. Yeah. So the question is, if body is temporary, then what should we do? Should we take care of the body or not?
What is our purpose?
Should we exactly, the purpose is, okay, I'll give you an example. What is the purpose of car? What is the purpose of car?
To drive you down here.
Carry you.
Drive you down where? Carry you where?
As in from your destination to, from your place where you want to go to
destination. Correct?
Yeah, destination.
Okay. Now, to go to that destination, your car has to be good. You have to maintain your car. Okay. But is the purpose of having a car only to maintain the car? Why do you maintain the car?
So that we can...
The purpose, reach the destination. Correct. So this body is like a car. This body is like a car. Krishna tells, Yantra Rudani Mayaya. So this body is like a car. So what is the purpose of car? The purpose of the body is to take us to the destination. And what is the destination? Our destination is to go back to Krishna, go back to the spiritual world after we give up this body, after death. So now, in order to reach the destination, you need a car. So this body is for that. So we need to take care of the body, but just not for the purpose of taking care, but for the purpose of reaching the destination. You're getting the point? So take care of the body. We need to protect ourselves from COVID, vaccine, whatever we need to do. But just not to keep our body fit to enjoy, but to keep our body fit so that we can do nice bhakti to Krishna and reach that destination. That's all. And
So
once
is
we reach
it
the
bad
destination,
to
we don't need the. Yeah, continue.
So Prabhuji, is it wrong to want more materialistic? Suppose the bigger, better things in life, like you have a house to live, but you want like a bigger house. So is it bad? Because I mean, having a house is your basic necessity, but people, they think, okay, no, I want a bigger house now. They work for that. But
very good question. Very good. Yeah, I'm getting a question. So the question is basically, where do we draw the line between needs and wants?
Yeah.
So needs are perfectly okay to have house, food, clothing, shelter. All those are needs. We definitely need that, but we need to be very careful that we don't cross needs and get into wants, because there is never an end. You may have a 1 BHK now. You may want to go to a 2 BHK. From a 2 BHK, you may want to go to a bungalow. From a bungalow, you may want to go to a mansion. From a mansion, you may want to go to America. Where is the end to it? Where is the end to it? So basically, everyone has to be honest to themselves to draw the line. And because you see, our energy is very limited. We can't do everything. We can't, give all our energy for material life also, and then give all our energy for spiritual life also. So we need to strike that balance. Just like a car, the same car example, na?
Yeah.
Car has 4 tires. चार टायर है कार में. So now the car has 4 tires, but if one of the tire gets punctured, it's a problem, na? So similarly, life, yeah, we need this food, clothing, shelter. ये भी important है, But if we just focus on that one tire, and if the spiritual tire gets punctured, then the car will not go. So we need to balance things out properly. So when we balance things, then the vehicle can go smoothly. So I mean, if Krishna was telling Arjuna that just focus on spiritual life and give up everything, why is Krishna telling Arjuna to fight? Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight and to win the war also, na? So there's nothing wrong in having a house. There's nothing wrong. But then what's the purpose? So Arjuna was fighting this war not to enjoy the kingdom. He was fighting this war so that even if they win the kingdom, they can rule well and they can help others also become devotees of Krishna. They can serve society, Krishna. So if you want a bigger house so that you can do more preaching, call more devotees there, it can be used in a spiritual way, wonderful. But if it just wants to be greater facility only for you to enjoy and no Krishna in the picture, then it's wrong. Okay, does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.